Good evening. I would like to call the March 3rd, 2026 Planning Commission meeting to order. Please note this meeting is being hosted through the live stream on the city website and by teleconference via Zoom. I'd like to remind the planning commissioners to have their microphones turned on in position so that the audience can hear. Director Monique, may we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Viramontes?
Here.
Commissioner Hill is absent with notice. Vice Chair Worth?
Here.
Chair Beamsterfer?
Here. Okay, Vice Chair Word, could we do invocation of flag salute, please?
We'll do the flag salute first. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity for us to come together. We pray that you help provide a cooperative and free and open environment for everyone to share. We pray for the wisdom to make the right decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Okay, agenda item 4 is public comment periods for items not on the agenda. Are there any members public, or are there any members of the public present that would like to comment on an item not on the agenda?
Yes, Chair. We have Roy Michael present. He has donated time from Jean Fayenza, so he has 6 minutes.
All right, Roy, you got 6 minutes.
Yeah, may not use all of it.
That's all right.
You like that, right? Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Roy Michael. I am now an 11-year resident of Hemet. I love this town. I live at the lakes at Hemet West. On our east fence, 5 feet from my bedroom, is the project plan Hemet Logistics West. Now, I was able to go to the Airport Authority meeting when they voted on, yeah, we're happy with it. After I pointed out to them that there are 2 main issues that I think might cause the airport problem and also cause me and my neighbors a lot of problems. There's an issue with the airport rule stating that an open bit of water, which they're putting in a trench to catch all the water and pump up to it, which happens to be in the middle of a flood zone, and it's at a 5-degree height level from where my house is and 40 other some houses. They're going to be pumping, through my calculations, more water in there based on the kind of rain we get in Hemet than it will fit. Now they said, well, we'll have spillways. Well, that spillway is going to put it under my bedroom, okay? I ran the numbers, but I want someone on the, of you guys to run the numbers on it. In December, around Christmas, we had 1.25 inches of rain in one day. If you run the numbers out from 66 acres, that's a whole lot of water. Then about 2 weeks ago, it was 1.65 inches. Now you get 2 or 3 storms there together, there's no way what they're digging in the hole is going to hold all that water. There's just no way. Please run the numbers on it. I was standing across the fence from the guy that did the original perk test there, the engineer that was out there, played nosy neighbor, and come to find out, it didn't pass the perk test, where the first rule of digging a ditch and filling it with water is, does it pass the perk test? There's a guy named, it's Homestead Rescue, a guy up in Alaska that goes into homesteads and fixes things. Whenever he puts in a pond, you know what he lies it with? Clay. That field is full of clay. Something about clay holds water. It has to do with the positive energy and the negative energy of the minerals in the water and the clay, and the positive energy of the water. I had that backwards. That place is an absolute mess when it's wet. There's water that sits up there by those trees for months at a time. And they're talking about this having to dissipate within 24 hours. That's the airport's rule. Now, here's another issue with it. So please run those numbers, and I think you'll find they're an absolute mess. My wife and I love to sit in the backyard because we have this 66 acres in front of us. It's beautiful. It's the best view in Hemet. I can see the mountains, everything. Geese coming in and going out from, going to south or north, whichever they're doing, will gather there. You'll get 50, 60, 100 of them. They all stand in or sit in a circle, and then about every 10, 15 feet, they've got another goose who's looking outwards, and they're the guard geese. It's really neat to watch. Well, I've read about what happens to geese when somebody builds a building in their natural place that they've been coming to for how many hundreds of years? I don't know. They will either go on top of the buildings, which isn't really safe because they're right next to an airport, and they will spend a whole lot of time on any piece of open water, which is where they're going to cut down all the trees there, where the arborist 2 years ago said, oh, those trees are all dead. If you drive by there, you can see hundreds of thousands of leaves. They're living well. So these are the kind of people we're dealing with. They're trying to push this. The airport says up to 10,000 feet to have open water if you have birds in the area. The developer said, well, we're going to do 1,087 feet, and by gosh, we think that's enough. Do you think they had 1,087 feet in mind when they did all the particulars all around the country to determine how far you should have nesting birds and stuff like that away from an airport? Remember Captain Sully going down in the Hudson? It was a goose that took him out. All right. What do you think it'll do to a Cessna? All right. Now here's the other issue. All this water, they're on a 5% grade, that's going to overflow. It also has the opportunity on a big day, like in the early 1900s in San Jacinto, when we had 5 days of 5 different storms, and this whole valley was flooded. How's a Cessna going to land in 3 inches of water? Okay? So I really want you to look at this stuff, see how they're really pushing the boundaries on this. But even the airport authority recommended a perk test that I think went down to 30 feet because they got to get past all that clay. Otherwise, they're going to be a big problem. I can only imagine the compensatory damages from the 40 houses lining that fence when the mold gets in and the people get sick, and everybody knowing you don't pump water into the flood zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Any other members present that would like to make a comment?
No, Chair.
I've spoken, y'all can go now.
All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and close the public comment period. And now we're going to move on. Anybody on teleconference or via Zoom?
No, Chair.
Oh, okay. Moving on to item 5A, which is the corrections of our minutes from the Planning Commission meeting from February 17th. Does the commission have any corrections or comments?
No, none.
Okay, can I ask for a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes of Planning Commission meeting of February 17th, 2026.
Second.
Can I get a roll call? Commissioner Viramontes,
Yes.
Vice Chair Worth,
Yes.
Chair Beamsterfer.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carried.
All right, we will now move on to work study item 6A from our city manager, Mark.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Mark Prestwich, your city manager. I want to begin by letting you know that I'm designating today as Dermatologist Appreciation Day. You may notice a different complexion, but it's a preventive effort on my part and my dermatologist's part to take care of things that otherwise would be bad. I'm told I'll be looking 20 years younger in about a month, so with getting that aside, I do want to say that the chair, Chair Beamsterfer and Vice Chair Worth, met with me recently. They were interested in learning ways that we could integrate. They gave me some feedback on various city issues. One in particular was an interest in ensuring that infrastructure type of projects, other areas of domain in the Planning Commission continue to run through you. We're going to have a really nice couple presentations tonight on 2 of those types of policy matters. But I asked whether you would be interested in participating in the development of our work plan for next year, and the feedback was positive. And so with that, we quickly put together some homework for you. And tonight we're going to go through a bit of an exercise that will help the City Council build their work plan for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So I'm going to begin with a little PowerPoint just to walk you through. So we're doing essentially an abbreviated version of what the City Council will do, but your work tonight will become an input on the work that the Council will do in about a month. So I want to begin with just this notation from our friends at the Internet. Strategic planning is the difference between dreaming big and not being able to afford it. So I think that's probably characteristic of a lot of efforts that cities make. We have essentially an unlimited variety of ideas and needs, but very limited resources, and we have to prioritize the use of those resources. So why do we plan? We want to set realistic priorities for each year. Our city, from a staffing perspective, has a capacity challenge, as any city would do, and so what we want to do is right-size the work that we take on over and above the daily work of each of our departments. And we want to agree also on how progress will be monitored and reported. And so in the council's case, what we do is we provide quarterly updates to the city council on the progress of these goals. They live on the website, those same documents, and you were emailed a version of that. I want to share with you, as we move into tonight, the City Council has a mission statement and a vision statement. So I want to read that to you. The City of Hemet will be a destination of opportunity and empowerment for its residents, businesses, and visitors by capitalizing opportunities, striving for growth, and promoting diversity and respect for each member of our community. Our vision statement is the City of Hemet shall be a model of excellence in local government, a safe, well-planned community with equal opportunity for all. So as we approach any type of goal-setting process, one of the questions I'll be asking the council when they sit down is this mission statement and is this vision statement still representative of how you think about the words that will guide this community and this organization in the next 12 months or beyond? These are the city's strategic plan goals. They all center around 5 pillars, which include quality of life, economic opportunity, community engagement, partnership and collaboration, and organizational effectiveness. So when you see our city staff reports move forward to the City Council, you'll see that we will designate which one or more of these topics that are being brought to the City Council touch these strategic plan goals. We've asked the question since for the past 5 years, do these still represent the strategic plan goals for the City Council? And the answer has been a consistent yes over the past 3 years, and this plan was built in the prior 2 years before that. So I think after about 5 years, it's time to re-engage, and perhaps after the November election, this will be something that the City Council will want to carefully re-examine, right? To spend more time looking at these and making sure that these still represent the current goals of the City Council. The various objectives were identified as ways to achieve those goals. And complementing that is something we're doing now, which is called, which we're calling strategic action items. This is really building an annual work plan that's manageable, can't be too many items. We tried we went through a prioritization process 3 years ago with the City Council, and we put a number of ideas on the pad of paper, and we came up with 82 initiatives to tackle in year 1. We've brought that number down to what I think is a more manageable number, just under 40 this year, and reporting out on those. So what's I think been empowering for the City Council is to see what comes out of these workshops ends up showing up in front of them on a council dais only a year later in many respects. And both of the items that you have tonight come out of work that was born in this type of an environment. So when I talk about right-sizing the strategic plan action items, what I'm really referring to is the process that we'll go through over the next 6 weeks, let's say, and maybe 8 weeks, as the City Council receives your feedback, goes through the similar exercise themselves. We will put together a draft of a strategic work plan for the following year. It may take us a couple of council meetings to right-size that. We will invite the City Council to identify potential opportunities for them to be involved in either serving as a liaison or forming an ad hoc to help advance a policy matter. I know we have a couple of areas where we've also tapped the talents of the Planning Commission. I think it's fair to say that those opportunities exist moving forward, And the feedback that I've received from the chair and the vice chair is you've really enjoyed that experience to work on an ad hoc, and I found that very helpful in advancing policy matters in governments that don't have a dedicated committee to policy development. Here's where we get to the fun. So tonight we're going to get our steps in. We're going to, at a certain point in time, we're going to walk over to this area. For the audience, the staff presented some homework to the commission late last week. You turned it around very quickly. We appreciate that in advance of today. That was really intended to accelerate the workshop tonight. But what you've done is you've identified about 19 different ideas. In 2 cases, I think we've consolidated those into a broader topic, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we walk through the exercise. But these represent ideas that you've shared with us from a first draft. You didn't have too much time to think about it. You've probably slept on it since working on this over the last week or so. What I want to begin with is invite you to identify any other ideas that you might have thought of or received feedback on from residents since you began the exercise. I know at least one of you reached out to some friends and colleagues and received some helpful feedback. So what might be helpful is for me to transition microphones, head over here, read these to you so that if any of you would like to elaborate on what I mentioned, I want to invite you to elaborate on the idea briefly so that the others will understand what the idea is and why. And then let's pause for about 5 minutes and see if you have any other ideas. You have a yellow notepad and a pen, and if you'd like to write down an additional idea, what we'll do is we're going to put that on the wall. Then the fun begins. We have currency for you tonight. We have red, blue, and brown dots. And what do they mean? This is our menu. This is really our legend tonight. This is going to create an opportunity for you to help prioritize your feedback on the ideas that were presented by your colleagues. So we're mimicking a exercise that the council goes through. Because the number of ideas was in the 18 range, we didn't choose to give you 5 dots like we did the city council. When they had 82 plus ideas, we're giving you 3 each. But it's going to force you to make some decisions, and that's the whole point of this exercise. And I want to walk you through how we will think about these different dots. So we begin with the must-haves. This is something that's essential. We're going to call this air. Can't live too long without oxygen, right? Air is something that represents the greatest importance in contrasting the ideas that are on the wall. The water dot, the blue dot, is something that's important. It's a need. But we know with water, also a necessity for life, you can get away with it for a couple of days, right? But we're going to need a drink at some point. So not as important as air, but certainly very important nonetheless. And finally, the wants. These are the valuable but non-critical, the nice-to-haves. We're calling this chocolate, right? These are nice-to-haves. They're not necessarily needed. But if you take a look again at the city's work plan right now, we have air, water, and chocolate all over our work plan. So the council took the time to prioritize each of the ideas. Some ideas that were put up on the wall initially didn't make the final cut. And then with the final cut, they were organized into levels of priority. And what that does is it helps us understand the council's direction and helps us marshal resources, staff resources to prioritize the work of the staff over the fiscal year. So our process is going to be, after I read these, the planning commissioners will place their dots and vote. And I want to invite you to set up your own rules, right? You can come up with, you can talk amongst yourself. This is the same invitation that I've presented to the city council. You may want to decide that you want to put all of your red dots on one item because it's that important, right? If you had multiple red dots, for example, you might want to put all of those on one item because it was that important to you to elevate. What we're going to do is give you a summary of all of this. We'll tabulate the results. But talk amongst yourselves. There may be a need to clarify some of the ideas up here, and I'll give you an example of that in just a minute when I walk over there. But this is something that we invite you to strategically use your currency in the way you would like to use your currency. Then we'll discuss those results briefly, make some adjustments potentially, and then I may comment on some of the ideas that you have there. Does that sound like an approach that will work?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to turn this one. Okay, I'm first going to read the ideas that are up here. I'll pause after each one so that if this is yours or you would like to comment on the idea, to either ask a clarifying question of your colleague or seek additional clarification from me, we'll do that. So the good news is we're all next to a microphone. This is going to be easy to communicate. The first one here on the left, I'll go across on each row. Conduct an amphitheater feasibility study and enhancement.
Was that the Ramona Bowl, or was
Is that a part of the Weston project design?
I think this is the Dana Hill
Okay.
suggestion related to. It could be related to the amphitheater. We'd have to ask him. But I think he's also thinking about economic development at the intersection of Highway 79 and Highway 74.
okay?
The next item is explore recreational and development opportunities at the Ramona Bowl.
So just to expand on that a little bit, that came from somebody that I reached out to, and we discussed it a little bit. An interesting concept, but kind of incorporating some redevelopment within the kind of the Ramona Bowl proper area that could include some improvements to what's there, possibly some expansion for restaurants or commercial or some other element that would add to the benefits and the functionality of the Ramona Bowl. It wasn't an idea that I had ever had before, but I think that would be something that might gain a lot of traction within the community.
So this is a good example of one that I want to talk to you about as an example of how these can evolve, because with the Ramona Bowl, outside the city limits, not owned or operated by the city, run by the Ramona Bowl Association. So if the city was to work, the city wouldn't necessarily take the lead on exploring recreational and development opportunities, but the city could partner, right? So the clarification, if we were going to further clarify the idea, what we might request as a friendly amendment would be seek opportunity to partner with the Ramona Bowl Association to consider opportunities for development, et cetera. So that's just an example of how this might get written up if it receives the votes. We're going to still share every idea with the city council. We're just going to share how you vote on it so that they understand your level of interest in the topics as well. The next item is conduct a traffic signal and timing analysis. This was referencing several different intersections in town, one of which I know is already in the works, and we would need to ask the Public Works Director for additional feedback on the other 3 locations. But this is essentially pursue efforts to signalize and sync the signals so that it moves traffic. Probably not any need for clarification on that one. Next one is engage the community to explore recreational opportunities at Simpson Park. We're actually involved in that right now, and we're building a plan called Elevate Simpson Park, and that one will be coming to you after some additional public engagement. Create youth activity opportunities for leisure, community service, and career. And explore transitional housing opportunities with vacant spaces, parking lots, buildings. Create a housing tract production plan for front yards. And really this is similar to if you had sample plans for an ADU, 800 square feet, 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. You could come in and get something off the shelf. Really like that idea.
Can we go back to the last one? It
Yes.
says occupy vacant lands and parking lots. Is that like putting those little pods on parking lots? What is that? It says transitional housing on vacant lands and parking lots?
Explore transitional housing opportunities. I think I had a staff member try to amplify that. So let's just focus on explore transitional
Okay.
housing opportunities.
Gotcha, okay.
Moving to this one here. Partner with neighboring jurisdictions to encourage economic development at the Highway 79 and 74 intersection. Create a project status webpage on the Hemet website. Enhance shopper confidence to promote local shopping. This was about safety, enhancing safety and the experience of shoppers. Conduct a Hemet Ryan Airport regional visitor access and airport expansion study. I want to let you know that this is another one similar to the one I expanded on with Ramona Bowl. Riverside County owns the airport, and they did conduct a study. They built a master plan. It's now, I think, a touch over 10 years old, about 10 years old, but it could be resurrected. It was never actually formally adopted. It was published, but it was never formally adopted. So the city could encourage the county to refresh the plan that was done before. Perhaps it would be more affordable than starting over to just look at refreshing the plan. But that's an example of perhaps clarifying this idea. Final one over here, develop a staff-led cleanup coordination committee.
Yes, I have an acronym for that. It's called CUT, Clean Up the Town. Basically, it's you make a grid, 50 little squares laid over the city, and every week that task force, so to speak, cleans up that little square. And I just think, driving around Menifee, Marietta, Winchester, you don't see dirty parking lots and, large, mattresses on the side of the road. I think a task force like that just focuses on cleaning up the city and removing graffiti from different areas would really help encourage people to move in and just bring a sense of safety to the city.
Thank you. Final row, police geographic assignments, essentially by zone, by beat is the recommendation. Develop additional community-led adoptive programs, adoptive whatever, vacant buildings, blocks, et cetera. We have an Adopt a Street program, but this would be an idea that expands our existing Adopt a Street program.
I picked that one because we have a lot of vacant buildings, and I think if we have, not necessarily just one business, but if we have an opportunity to have multiple business be able to adopt the building for, say, 30 days, and that gives an opportunity to not have it sit there and deteriorate. They can use that space, and it might encourage businesses to go in there too as well. But I just think we should take advantage of having all these, like Chick-fil-A, for example, was a downfall because we put it in Simpson Center, which I think we could have put it somewhere else. They could have adopted a vacant building and set themselves up in there and had a better opportunity based on location. But that's one reason why I picked that one.
Thank you. The final three, partner with schools for youth community service opportunities. Creation of a citywide cleaning task force. Bring on new staff to support and plan day-to-day operations.
That actually might be mine instead of the
Okay.
other one.
And it's similar, right? I mean, this is an exercise that we'll do with the council. Is this close enough to this that we could essentially coordinate that? So if you're voting for this one, maybe we will tick this, put it next to that, and you're essentially voting for that idea, and we'll work on the actual language of it later. Finally, create an economic development plan that encourages resident workforce. So these are the ideas that you shared. What I'd like to invite you to do is if you would like an extra few minutes to write down a couple of ideas, then we'll hand the microphone over to you, and we'll help you put that up on the wall, because apparently our Post-it notes don't stick, so we're going to add some tape. And then we'll begin our exercise.
Just a few other ideas.
Any other ideas you would like to add today? I see a few new ideas there. Would you like to introduce them from the table here, and then we'll help you put them up on the wall?
Sure.
You want me to just say what they are and?
Yes, and then we'll
Okay,
begin
well,
putting them up
I
on the
know we
wall.
used to have a senior center back in the day. I think we need to work on trying to bring back another senior center. A lot of cities have them, and that's a common thing I hear from a lot of my customers is that we just don't have anything that's a senior center anymore. The other thing I brought up is go back to bringing up discussion with Diamond Valley Lake and trying to get hotels or restaurants up there with the view. The view's worth to have a fine dining up there, get some tourism up there at our lake. That's something that was originally promised by EMWD and that got later changed because of no body contact. And then as for working with EMWD, I think we should use some of that open land at Diamond Valley to do outdoor events, such as like, you know, some of these people have like Coachella, for example, the outdoor, not to that scale, but they do multiple concerts. It's a beautiful setting to have concerts out there on the land and with the settings around there. So those are my three to add to it.
If I could, just for a slight correction on that, that would be MWD, not EMWD.
Oh, it's MWD.
Bring your pen over, we'll cross that E off there.
I'll just scribble out that.
EMWD may be a partner in that, but as far as that. So I just expand opportunities for public-private partnerships, similar to the approach that has been presented for the Hemet Theater. And then also look at possibly expanding the area that's associated with that Hemet Theater project for other opportunities for picking up properties that the city could incorporate into that plan.
Great, thank you.
I got maybe organize better rules or laws for our street vendors, so they're not just kind of scattered all over the place. Be a little bit more organized, make sure they clean up their areas, so if this street vendor has this area and it's dirty after, you know exactly that they created that mess. Also, make sure that the city is getting their proper tax revenue from those said vendors. I know some of these guys have pretty long lines. Yeah, organize street vendors a little better.
Thank you.
Also, if I could, and I don't know if we want to maybe add this as a new one or maybe just some clarification for the one that was up there as far as the Simpson Park. In conjunction with that, recommendation, it was slash create a public mountain bike park. And that may or may not be conducive with that location. That just was kind of one of the recommendations that I received. But with the submittal that I gave to staff, there's a few different links of similar projects that were successfully designed and implemented in kind of a P3 kind of an approach, both in Eureka and then also in Arkansas in conjunction with Walmart. But the idea is to create a public mountain biking park, not like Greer Ranch, which is a more private, but to have that at least to start a assessment and maybe looking at what the other successful parks have done. So whether that's in conjunction with Simpson Park, or maybe there's someplace else within the city limits or neighboring agencies, I'd like to have that one as a specific.
You want to add that, and I think we'll just grab that and put it up there.
Okay.
It's probably going to take us about 15 minutes to let you decide how to vote. And so I know I want to be respectful of the other agenda items that you have on here, but I think we have a really good start. You've identified some really terrific ideas. I think a lot of these are actionable. Some are in some form of motion already, but I want to share all of your ideas with the City Council. So are you ready to, after John finishes this, are you ready to, we'll do some walking, we'll move the camera, and we'll take a look at the wall over here?
Yes.
How much spending dollars do we have to mark on the wall?
Your currency is quite limited. I think we have 3 red, 3 blue, and 3 brown.
Okay.
So 3 air, water, chocolate each. I need to redo this pile over here also. I should mention that when we do this exercise with the city council, sometimes we end up with air and chocolate on the same idea. So it's okay if we have different colors on different ideas. All right. We have some priorities. I'm going to just reference a couple of these so that everyone following can see these. We're going to capture this, and we'll work on putting this into a spreadsheet that we share with the city council, share with you as well. I'll hit a few of these. Here's a couple chocolates. Partner with neighboring jurisdictions to encourage economic development at Highway 79 and 74. Another chocolate, develop additional community-led adopt a street or adopt a whatever type programs. That's great. Identify temporary opportunities for vacant buildings. I really like this one. That receives some chocolate as well. I think there's some really creative ideas we can do with that idea. Here's a red one. This is AIR, create a city project status webpage on the Hemet website. That's actually in motion right now, so that's great. Conduct a traffic signal analysis, signal timing analysis. Everyone loves this. I love this one. I've been stuck at those intersections. Here's a water item. Engage the community to explore recreational opportunities at Simpson Park. And our leading vote getter partnered with Schools for Youth Community Service Opportunities. So 3 red, 3 air, and 1 water on that. Conduct a Hemet Ryan Regional Visitor Access and Airport Expansion Study. So this is really an opportunity to partner with the county. Creation of a citywide cleaning task force, air. Explore transitional housing opportunities with vacant spaces. Love that as well. Work with the MWD at Diamond Valley Lake and other partners to program outdoor events. A lot of love on this one, both air and chocolate. And bring back a discussion on hotel commercial development at Diamond Valley Lake. Receive some air. Resurrect the senior center. That's 3 different positions, and we're working that into the fiscal year 26-27 budget. Haven't seen how it pencils yet, but those 3 positions are in the budget draft. Expand opportunities for public-private partnerships, similar to the approach with the Hemet Theater. That was one of the new ones that was added. And then that was an air. And then assess opportunities for developing a public MTB, multi-trail, right? Bike similar, or park similar to other cities, and that received some chocolate. So thank you very much for this. I want to go back to the PowerPoint to close real quick. I just have one more slide, I think. Okay. So just to summarize, where are we going from here? These are our next steps. We're going to summarize and share your suggestions with the City Council. The City Council will conduct a goal-setting workshop. I think that's scheduled for April 10th. And that's going to be to go through the same exercise that you've gone through. They're going to be asked to identify a number of ideas. They're going to be presented several forms of information, resource documents, including the current status of our work plan in the 25-26 fiscal year, the work product of tonight's meeting, et cetera. And then they will review and approve the work plan at a future City Council meeting and align it with budget resources. So we're negotiating labor contracts. We're working with departments on building the budget for next year. We'll need to assess the cost of various ideas and determine how we can incorporate the ideas and still make it a manageable work plan that we have staff capacity to advance over a 12-month period. So that's where we're headed. And I want to thank you for engaging with us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mark, for the opportunity, for allowing us to be involved and have a little voice in what we think the city needs and improved on. And see here with that, really there's no questions. We were just kind of open discussion anyways. And with that, we're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Are there any members present or online that would like to comment on this item?
No, Chair.
Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and close it. And there's no need to just work study, so we will move on to action 7A. Actually, no. What we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're going to switch 7B and 7A around because I know we have some people here for 7B. And we're going to have Ben Sandoval approach the podium with the micro grants. Sorry for a last minute curveball there.
Perfect. Test 1, 2. Everyone can hear me loud and clear. Good evening, Planning Commission Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioner, Community Development Director, Ben Sandoval, Economic Development Director for the City of Hemet. And you know, something that was funny is last week I was here, and I don't know if you counted, but I think I've touched this about 100 times. So I'm going to do my very best not to touch that microphone and keep it away from me. So hopefully you can hear me just loud and clear. So this is, tonight I'll be presenting on the Hemet Planning, I'm presenting in front of you, the Commercial Facade Improvement Program. how we got here, the journey. It's been a whirlwind, but you know what? We have grants to present here to you tonight. These are the micro grants, and as you can see behind me, there are a few property owners here that have come to support or voice their opinion on either results, and that's what we're here tonight. Thank you to the IT department for pulling that up. As you can see here, for the most part, this really hones in on not only quality of life, but partnerships, organizational effectiveness, and across the board, this really hones in on the 5 checkpoints, and we're really excited to show you what we have here tonight. I won't really get into the whole purpose of this, as this grant was presented to you all actually about a year, half ago, and then to the city council as well. We've had quite a few meetings. I'll go over what that is. But, you know, the purpose is quite simple. Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's why this particular grant was written, was really to create local jobs, 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 jobs. I've said that last time, and I'm going to continue honing in on that. That's what we're here to do. Jobs, 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 but at the same time, support job creation, local entrepreneurship. This is truly what it is. As you saw, and I'm going to get into, so the commissioner is aware, the ad hoc members really had an opportunity to hone in on small business. Hemet is made out of small business. Over 97% of all of our business in town are 0 to 15 employees. We don't have these big conglomerates that are hiring thousands of people. So this grant was really meant on small business. And this particular one that we're presenting today is on the micro portion. And again, it's also to stimulate investment. There's skin in the game, as you're going to see, 5%, and is really to beautify the downtown core, as you're aware. We're no longer want to be just known as a city as pass-through, but let us stop and actually experience any dwell time that they may have. We want to ensure we enhance that. And in the near future, you may see some new things popping on downtown. We are aware that EVs are a growing trend, and we may be able to bring something in the downtown corridor now to not only beautify the area, but make sure people are actually charging their vehicles and staying here. And these will be level 2 or 3 chargers, so that's at least an hour or so. Moving on here, when we presented, this was the purpose of the grant. This is an example of a city somewhere in the Central Valley, and wouldn't you know it, the city manager knew exactly what city had used this on. It cracked me up. But this is an example on before and after. This is truly what we're trying to get out of. We want to make sure that anything that does qualify and does get approved tonight is coming back looking more appeasing, welcoming. The ambiance, people are welcome. As you can see, this is exactly what happened on that particular portion. On grant overview, as you can see, there was 2 different grants that we reviewed, the micro and macro. History, this was presented to council about 2 years ago. It grew from there. We had quite a few applications that I'm going to run through what that looked like. And it wasn't just 1 or 2. It was a few applications that we received. So the ad hoc had a challenge to do, but we did some diligent work to come to this point, and I'm going to cover what that is. And just so you're aware, on top of the macro and micro grants, there are a certain percentage that they can use, if awarded, for architectural and design services. Very limited, I believe is less than 5 or 10%. I'm sorry, 5 or 10 hours. So that would be the amount for that. Moving forward here, just to kind of bring to speed the full planning commission on the grant program, how it was distributed, how did we get here. These were general funds from the city council, because again, they want to stimulate and they believe on the Hemet Rises strategic plan that was approved by council, that we want to bring in quality businesses, quality of life, and curtail that $1.5 billion leakage that we have. $1.5 billion leakage that the city of Hemet has. So people are leaving for, as I mentioned last week when I had presented on the Hemet Auto Mall, people are going for services that we have here in town. We have them in town, but they're going to another city. And that can be for a variety of variables. And we want to make sure that facade is not one of them, and other things as well. And you can see from the small business grant how much allocation was granted along with the other macro for a total of $900,000 distributed between 2 different grants, but the same funding sources. As you can see here, the micro grants, again, just as a refresher, was specifically for the downtown specific plan as part of the specific plan that was approved in 2015 or so, and it really covers a street north to east, and I'll go over what those are, but you can kind of see the breakdown. Today, though, I'll be presenting on micro grants. Micro. The macro just still wanted to throw out there because it was grants that were allocated. This will be moving forward to City Council at a later date. But we want to make sure that we cover today the micro. And I think something that right at the beginning, I covered the 5 points that it covers every single one. Well, there's skin in the game. We're not just handing dollars. They're also putting skin in the game, which is 5% of the 30,000. It might be a lot or it might be a little, but we wanted to make sure that there's some. And again, what did I say earlier? 97% of all of our small business are 0 to 15. And I think there's a misnomer that our small businesses are making 6 figures. That is the complete opposite, actually. They're working 60 hours or making less than 70,000. So these are the types of services that they desperately need. As I mentioned, the Downtown Specific Plan, that's where it starts and where it goes. So when we are going through these, just be aware that the 5 recommended awards for tonight fall within this specific plan in the Downtown Specific Plan. Moving forward here, I won't go over every single one because, again, this program was presented to the Planning Commission and Council. But for the newer commissioners, this is the type of allocations that they can submit for reimbursement. So this is what we were reviewing with the ad hoc, and it was a very diligent process. It wasn't just a matter of hours or seconds. It was really diligent on making sure not only did they meet these criterias or they submit, but hearing the Planning Commission ad hoc's recommendations. And that was quite a time, in a good way. Some of the program procedural steps, just kind of how we got here today. We submitted we released an application flyer. We brought in the ad hoc committee, which was composed of our chair and our vice chair, and we were able to review these types of grants to see, hey, which ones are good to move forward and which ones perhaps didn't submit all of the paperwork, may have not submitted art renderings, were missing a key piece, or may have not needed all of the full reimbursement. Then we did actually in-person visits. We visited every single location. The Planning Commission was able to give real thoughts, real recommendations on the spot, and it was really cool to visit. We were able to tree a trim along the way, so it was a worthwhile trip, and more importantly, visit all of the businesses and having the business owners directly let the Planning Commission know how much this means and hear their recommendations. And then finally, we are here tonight to give you the recommendations. This was the flyer that was distributed to make sure all of the city of Hemet business owners were aware. We mailed these out. We gave them to all of our shopping centers, big and small. We even did downtown visits and did our very best to pass this flyer to every single business. On the screen here, I know it's kind of small for the audience. It might be a little hard to read it. I don't blame you. But these were the applications that were submitted to the city of Hemet for the micro grants. As you can see here, there are a multitude of applications from Florida, Harvard, Bookman being obviously in the Florida and Harvard corridor, for a grand total of $543,000 of requested funding for all of them. But obviously, we didn't have that much funding available. It was 8 grants at $30,000 or less, depending on if they requested the full sense. And you'll get what I mean by that shortly. Now, before I move over to the next slide, and this is the beef and potatoes here, in order to get to the next slide, it took multiple meetings. It took a visit. It took calling these businesses to get updated art renderings. Some may have submitted an application without knowing what exactly we're getting in return. So I have a little bit, a sneak peek on what those look like. Some were really detailed, some weren't, but nonetheless, again, they're small business, so they did their very best to provide. Here are the 5 recommendations for tonight. As you can see here, number 1 is Simon, and bear with me, and Planning Commission. I would just like to go through because we may have people here. I want to make sure that the property owners are here or aware and hear this. So number 1, these are recommended committee micro recommendations. Recommended. Number 1 would be the Simon True property for 135, 137, 139. They're all connected in one for $30,000, and I'm going to show you exactly shortly what they're proposing. This would be for paint, sign, awnings, and landscaping. Having done the walkthrough, I can definitely see how paint and awnings is going to a long way, but particular landscaping facing State Street, we really have something going here. And if the city's able to work on our downtown parking lot there with EV chargers, all of a sudden that whole corridor became a fusion. Number 2 is the car wash right on Inez and Florida Street. They're proposing a mural along with potential some landscaping if any funding is available, but it would be mostly all for mural funding. And you'll see a little bit of what they're proposing. If you've never been inside, they actually have a mural there from 1992 that still looks fresh. I could have sworn they just painted it yesterday. Number 3 is the law offices of William Van Order, 135 South Carmelita Street. $6,000 is being recommended for paint and landscaping. Some paint there and landscaping can go a long way. It's right here actually on the not too far from City Hall. Number 4 is the Vista Park Professional Building Owners Association, 133 North Buena Vista, Suite 1 and 4. What a beautiful building, but it definitely needs some upgrading. And I do believe with some of the paint, awnings, lighting, signage, parking lot, and the vinyl trellis, if I'm hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, I know Monique knows how to use those and say those. It's going to be such a beautiful area. So I really believe that corridor across from City Hall, we just painted City Hall. We have across from us a physician coming as well right by the gas station. Birth Choice just opened up. Now we have a lot of good fusion happening in that area. And last but not least, funny enough, right next to it is Dr. Sabek Chiropractor, $30,000 for a sign and lighting. The building is already pretty much up to date with paint. That's across the street from our City Hall. He tends to paint his windows different seasons, so on and so forth. He just wants to get a sign so he can decorate the sign, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Sorry, I didn't even move my slide. Jeez, I was talking this whole time. So I'll give it a couple seconds for the audience to kind of take a look, but that's exactly what I was referring to, 1 through 5. I should have turned the page there, the slide, but you kind of get an idea what I was proposing here. Moving forward here, again, these were some of the best art renderings that we were able to get by the applicant. This is for the 135 through 139 North Harvard. Here's a conceptual art rendering that they're proposing. It was submitted to us black and white. You can see there on the left, actual digital-wise, and on the right, some actual architectural handwritten drawings, but it really showcases the new doors, art renderings, the awnings and paint, and more importantly, some signage on top. Really is going to go a long way facing the State Street corridor. Moving forward here, this is the car wash depot that I had mentioned. They're debating on which side of the car wash they would like to go in, either east or west. I believe we had recommended going on the east part, so it's facing State Street. So this picture may necessarily not showcase that, but when we did the walkthrough with the Planning Commission, it was recommended on the east end facing State might be at a better location for those. And these were just conceptual ideas. They are open to working with the city on providing what the city would like on their as far as a mural. This is the law offices of William Van Order. As you can see there, those are the landscaping trees that they'll plan to put in there in the precise location, along with some paint. So just FY, that's right next across from City Hall, and there's also a city public parking lot right across from there. So if that's updated in the near future, now we're, again, more fusion, more energy. This is the one I was talking about the Vista Park Professional Building. They did submit a nice plan. I couldn't include all the art renderings, but you can get an idea of the Trulies, or hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, on that corridor. The new sign, oh man, that's going to go a long way as you're driving there on Buena Vista Street. You'll be able to see the sign. That is pretty, at this moment, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it needs some TLC. It definitely needs it. I'm sure they'll want to keep the old one if approved, but definitely needs a new sign there. And then last but not least, Dr. Sabet, he's looking to add a sign on top. Right now, it's not really showcasing his sign in the front, so he's hoping to have a beautiful sign to showcase Dr. Sabet Chiropractor, so that gives you an idea of what they're requesting. So overall, again, it was a great time going over every single application. It was not easy to get to this point, but here we are today for the micros, and we're hoping that today we can get some guidance and awards if possible. So, Commission, thank you for hearing me out, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, Ben, for that presentation. I'm glad that we are here to discuss this. Commission, any questions for staff?
The car wash, Would that be something that maybe, I know we just recently voted on the art project. Would that be something that maybe the art project plan can work for instead of a grant?
That can be potentially something that if there was grants available after this first one, the second would be us looking out for grants and such or private investment. So we can possibly go out for some state funding for another grant if possible. So that is an option as well.
Okay.
And I believe that was a recommendation, if I remember correctly, by Vice Chair on looking into that grant. If not available, going after the mural.
That's the one like right behind that train station, right?
Exactly.
It's like
the
right here.
North of the train depot.
If I recall, I think the art program that being discussed, the tax, are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think that was more for new development and for commercial and housing.
Gotcha.
I think they exempted remodeling
Mhm.
from that category for that tax, but I think that's strictly going towards more new development and new commercial development tax.
Okay.
And he could be selected as the next mural, but it wouldn't be guaranteed for the next one. But just as but it was recommended to seek state funding first, see that's available. If not, go after the mural on this grant here.
Gotcha. Okay. Questions? Let me see what else. I like the asphalt idea. I like the picture as well. Just drew it in with the black finger. That was pretty funny. But that parking lot definitely looks like it needs some improvements for sure. Other than that, I think all these buildings, Simon, that's going to be nice because that's hitting 3, so to speak, businesses at once.
That's correct.
Especially if you want to bring those EV chargers. You said it's facing State Street.
The ones that he's proposing to remodel, the 3 buildings, would be on the State Street. The chargers will be level 2 and 3s. We're exploring in the downtown where exactly, we have quite a few parking lots. I didn't realize how many we had. We are at 10 plus. So we have to make sure, just to figure out what's the best location to place 4 to 8 chargers.
Gotcha.
Level 2 or 3. So for those that drive EVs, you know how imperative level 3s are for long trips. So it would be perfect.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good idea. And then the last thing that I would have is just the signage that you said needs some TLC. I noticed that you have some planters hanging off the side. Are those going to be watered every day? What happens if they die? Or is that going to be fake plants, this picture here?
Very, very good point on that. I have seen right now they have some plants, but it's not on there. It's more like vines and such. That's a very good question, Commissioner, that I can go back to. And I'm not sure if the property owners are here today, that they can probably comment on that. Did you have an idea on the planters by any chance? Would you like to comment on that?
Okay, cool.
Irrigating.
That works. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That sign definitely needs some love and care. It'll look good. Yeah. I don't have any further discussion.
Yeah, and when I did the walkthrough for the Vista Park, they were very excited, and I feel like they might water it 10 times a day. You know, in a sense that they're going to be on top of it. All of them were ready to go, so I do feel, and it's good. You can see the support here. They're very excited for the potential.
That's cool.
Now, I just want to again express appreciation to staff and then also to all of the applicants. That was a really enjoyable and fulfilling experience. It was great to meet everybody, discuss their application, their ideas, and kind of work through that process to come up with some support from the city to help. And I was really happy to be a part of it. So thank you for managing that and keeping us all on track there, Ben. Appreciate that.
Thank you for keeping me on track, honestly, Commissioners.
I'm just going to echo off Vice Chair's word. I had a great time having the opportunity to be a part of this. It is hard to be able to, that big list that we had, to be able to pick and choose. When we based this based on what was being presented and how it was presented, and many hours and back and forth and meeting the property owners. I think the ad hoc committee came up with the best decision we could for these micro grants. And I just want to thank those that did apply, that didn't qualify. There will be another chance sometime in the near future, I'm sure. And but I just want to thank everybody for taking the chance and applying and letting us have an opportunity. So,
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you, Ben.
And if I may add one more thing, Commissioner, only because you had brought up, and it's on my brain right now, at a CDBG, out of a different funding stream, sometime this week or next week, the goal is this: by Thursday, we will be releasing a different type of commercial facade improvement program. This will not be out of general funds. This will be out of CDBG for 20,000 or below. Very restricted, just 5 things we're going to be reimbursing. So for those that may be in the audience that may have not received award funding, that can be a grant that they can go. It won't be as big as maybe 30,000, but it'll be 20 or less with 5 items to select from.
Absolutely.
Just as
Anything-
an FYI, Chair.
Anything will help.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and open up public comment period. Are there any members of the public present that would like to comment on on this agenda?
No, Chair. No.
No? All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and close the public comment and ask the commission to, wait a minute, to direct this to staff, or do we approve it? It doesn't say anything about it.
So Teddy,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah.
Okay, the filer to receive the report and approve the City of Hemet,
Yeah.
approve the City of Hemet Commercial Facade Improvement Grant Program Ad Hoc Recommendation for Small Business Micro Grant Application.
So moved? You just said the
I
line.
said, I moved it. You have a second?
I second.
Can I get a roll call? Commissioner Viramontes?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
That carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. And thank you, guys.
All right.
Look
now we're
forward
gonna
to
move
seeing
on.
those plants watered.
Yes. Make sure they don't die.
Now we are going to move on to reimagining our Weston Park. Can we have a presentation from staff?
Turning it on might help. There we go, turning it on might help. All right, good evening, Chair, Commissioners, members of the public, staff. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Eric Bunge, the Executive Analyst for the Public Works Department, and I'm joined here by our team from Community Works Design Group, and speaking alongside me will be Annalisa Escobar Gomez, and they were our consulting firm for this project, design and outreach as part of that contract. We are here tonight to present the proposal for reimagining Weston Park, an effort that seeks to revitalize an historic space in the heart of the city. All right. Weston Park has deep roots that date back to 1921 and its dedication and naming in 1930. It's been a place of gathering. As you can see, it's a little small there, but that's a still from a black and white video that we found, or that actually been found from 1937. And the palm trees are a little smaller back then. They're definitely grown up now. But as you can see, there was definitely a central gathering point for the city even back then. And it's rumored that even Teddy Roosevelt came to speak to the crowd at the bandstand that used to be at Weston Park. So again, the roots are deep. It's also featured in Chapter 7 of the Downtown Specific Plan update, with a vision of a multi-generational park that includes amenities like an amphitheater, outdoor dining area, playground, botanical garden, exercise equipment, game courts, passive open space, stock farm-inspired archway gate for entry, and in general, just basically different areas and different things to attract different types of users. All things were similar of what we heard the community through our outreach process that we just undertook. The park was identified as a priority by council as part of the FY 25-26 strategic plan, as well as it's part of the city's broader downtown revitalization efforts. More specifically, it's action number 9 in the places section of the Hemet Rises economic strategy. Currently, Weston Park has some amenities, such as a playground, the only public indoor shuffleboard court, 2 half basketball courts, a monument sign, a restroom which is currently closed, and used to have picnic tables that were removed due to operational challenges and vandalism, a flagpole, and a large open grass turf space. Technically in the gazebo that we visit Santa in during the holiday season. While these elements provide the park some functionality, there is not an operational, or it's not operating to its full potential. The park remains underutilized, and limited activation of the space has unfortunately led to some undesirable activity at the park. And again, some sort of vandalism and unwanted activities that I kind of touched on earlier. However, its central location within the city presents a significant opportunity to reimagine the park, transforming it into a community centralized hub once again. So, community outreach. This process dated back to our first kickoff meeting back in August. And since that time, we have worked closely with the community throughout this process. This concept, Before You Deny It, has been shaped by them, and it's not designed in isolation. We took a multi-channel approach to our outreach efforts, including QR code project signage that was displayed in City Hall and the library, included in the city newsletter twice, and it has its own landing page on our website. 3 interactive sessions at public events where we got outreach at those, and Alicia will go into that a little bit in the next couple slides, as well as we did a workshop with the Youth Council. We had some fun ideas come from our youth, which is a Godzilla statue, something Instagram-worthy, fish pond, definitely Wi-Fi access, but ultimately it mirrored what we heard from the rest of the community as well, with 2 caveats. I want to be fair and transparent with all the information that we received. The splash pad and the dog park were the least desirable activity or amenities for them. Makes sense kind of from that age group, right? But they had this great idea of, instead of just having plain concrete, we should incorporate interactive or creative designs within that concrete as well and kind of make it an art piece in a way. Alongside that, we had an online survey, both in English and Spanish, with initially gathered over 400 responses, and from a diverse range of voices we heard. The main themes being safety, shade, family-friendly amenities, recreational opportunities, place for events, water play, and art. We can summarize this basically into a category as a safe and welcoming place to gather. We had fun creating a social media video as well. That got a lot of attraction and impressive engagement over our multiple social media platforms. And we heard themes that were mirrored across those as well. Safety, homeless concerns, shade, flower gardens, walking paths, recreation and water play for kids, and entertainment. That said, there was 2 things that we received a good amount of responses in the comment sections of each. One was areas for youth football. The other was a pump track. There's conversations potentially about combining the skate park with a pump track around that. We can look at other parks as well that might have some extra space, like Gibble Park, for example, to potentially accommodate football fields that the community needs as well. Just food for thought as we go through this. Definitely enthusiastic, positive responses. Make it safe again, and it's about time. Gotta love social media, right? Combined with that, as well as we had a few internal staff SWOT meetings, SWOT analysis meetings, and that was with Planning Commission, our police department, Public Works, City Manager's Office, Economic Development, as well as we brought in our council subcommittee on this priority as well. And it's important to hear, what does the community want to see at this park? And I'd be happy to go into any of those specifics further, and we'll get into those as we continue throughout the presentation. But at this point, I want to pass it off to Annalicia to go into the further community outreach efforts.
Thank you. Good evening, Planning Commission. It's my genuine pleasure to be here this evening to talk to you about the community engagement process that we've conducted over the last few months. I've gotten to know a lot of your staff, a lot of the community members as well, and everyone has been very warm and welcoming and excited about this project. So just to kick it off, we started at developing the community survey to start to try to narrow down what amenities the community would really want to see. Part of that was for the survey was also developing a place to distribute the QR codes, and we started with the September 11th the concert series outreach event. And through that concert series event, we had over 1,300 members of the public at least be introduced to the idea of redesigning the park. From there, we didn't solicit feedback on anything other than what amenities the people would want to see. From there, we attended the first inaugural Rodeo del Sol. There were 900 community members who showed up. We also offered a similar voting strategy to what you guys experienced tonight, only we didn't have chocolate, we just passed it out. So we had red and green voting stickers that were to represent, use on each of the different amenity elements. And from there, we also attended the city's Shocktoberfest, which was really well attended. There, we invited the participants to also draw the park and what they would like to see. So we got a lot of ideas from the children about what they would most actively use, because the whole goal in this whole process is to create a facility for the community to become this heart of the city, and that a place that will be activated for positive use for the whole community. So as you can see here, here's some of the results from our community feedback. So the same kind of sticker exercise was utilized to narrow down the amenities that would fit on the 4-acre park site. Once we had the direction from there, we were able to, between the surveys where we got the first initial survey, we received 420 responses from the community, as well as receiving all of the in-person feedback. With that, the shade and comfort was one of the most important, as along with safety. 81% of the participants also believe that the redesign will transform the downtown into a safe and welcoming gathering space. Part of that too was really creating active recreation opportunities, and then also looking at creating social spaces. It was great being out at the Mary Henley Park at the concert series. You know, everyone was having fun, dancing, and we would love to see that incorporated at Weston Park also. So from the top priorities, obviously it's a 4-acre park. There's some amenities that we would looking to maintain, especially the preservation of the heritage trees that are in the park currently. Our first design was this Radiant Plaza and Heritage Gardens. New Mayor Krupa had recommended in one of the SWOT analysis meetings with stakeholders to incorporate a Howard Rose Garden. And so that kind of took the precedent on this one, also leaving the shuffleboard building intact and in place. The second concept introduced on-site parking, but that did also eliminate some of the 4 acres that could be utilized, and so that was taken on to get people to provide parking on the site as well. And then the third concept was kind of cultivated a few of the different ideas, but in this iteration it did have the removal of the shuffleboard building to make more space for potential pickleball courts and other items that we had heard back from the community that they wanted to see as part of the active recreation. These 3 concepts were then put back online, and Eric and staff had reintroduced it through social media. And we attended the Christmas parade where we had an opportunity drawing, and as you can see between the voting on the final concept, between the third concept was the winner by far, between the votes in person and on the survey. And so for the preliminary final design, we took everything back to the stakeholders and the city staff. We met with the police department, also to make sure that everything that we were going to incorporate into the final design would meet safety and visibility and incorporate all of the key priorities and amenities that we had heard from the community. So this preliminary final concept does keep a blend of all of the different some of the different items and aspects to concept 1 and concept 3. And so this one does keep the shuffleboard building. We had a lot of feedback from the members about its importance and wanting to maintain it. So we included that in the final iteration of the concept. And this one focuses on developing a central amphitheater and maintaining those date palms that Eric mentioned earlier. It also includes active shaded playground areas and the potential for like a ninja course for older teens to play on to engage them. Oh. No worries. And then it also introduces, again, we have opportunities to either have a pickleball court or the ninja course. It also creates one of the first, I believe, full court basketball courts at the City of Hemet parks, and then also presents opportunities for new economic development with areas in the front for potential food trucks. We made sure all of the sidewalks essentially you can drive up on it and have food trucks. That was a great part of most of the events that I attended, and everyone was very happy to see them. And I know that's an important part of the emerging culture in Hemet, and so we've incorporated all of those things to allow for the space to meet and accommodate that. And then I'll kick it back over to Eric because he has some final design considerations for you guys.
Yeah, so we have a couple more slides, but then we'll open it up to discussion, feedback from the community, et cetera. And we can kind of jump back through the slides as we go as well. But again, some kind of when we're looking at that amphitheater stage area in the middle, some considerations that we want to talk about, at least to get your perspective on for sure. And ultimately, this will go to council for final adoption and approval as well. Those are mature trees, and those aren't cheap, right? So do we want to pair it with a new tree? Maybe a 10-footer that grows up alongside of it. It can resemble something new, something you have the history as well as the new kind of blending together and growing together. It also kind of mirrors that or sets the stage, so to speak, right on both sides. There's also an idea, do you eliminate that one palm tree? There's one there right now, and to the right of it, there wouldn't be in real lifetime, right? So, do we create some symmetry? Do we create some seasonal tree to where we can add some color to that stage area so it kind of changes over the course of time? And then another consideration too, I know it's a little dense, but it's easier than jumping forth a bunch of different slides, but there's a lot of different design concepts and things that we can talk about too. But on the very right, a recent development, we talked to our partners or our neighbors, I guess, over at RTA. One opportunity would be, instead of just being a big rose garden in the front as a focal point of the park, it could potentially be a pull-in bus station. There's currently a bus stop at the U.S. Bank, almost said Union Bank, but U.S. Bank, as well as El Toro Market on the opposite sides. They would merge those into one. So it'd be more of a user-friendly thing, kind of help that flow on Florida a little bit as well. Might drive some indirect traffic and some activity to the front of that park as well. So that's a consideration. Would love to get your perspective on that, as well as some other elements too. With that being said, I kind of will take a little bit of a pause. I'll open it for discussions. Either that or I can go kind of through the checklist and we can talk about them one by one as we go.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. Commissioners, any suggestions, any recommendations, any concerns?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the conceptual landscape one. I like what you did with the area, the pickleball court, existing shuffleboard. There was that many people that do shuffleboard?
So
there
we
you
have
go.
a few of them here
Yeah.
tonight. So actually, and that's something that I didn't cover in the history part of it too. So it has deep roots. We're part of District 7, which has been around since 1963. So I can't tell you how old that building is. Maybe somebody has that historical knowledge here, but it's been there for a long time. There's 50 active members approximately. They play 3 days a week currently, 3 days a week. Plus they host regional tournaments once a month. Plus they host the Senior Olympics out there that draws a couple hundred people from around the region.
Will that building be updated? Like, will they get a fresh coat of paint, or
So,
what you thinking?
if we can go back to the presentation, I don't know how sorry IT back there. So it's kind of hard to see, but in the middle corner right there, so there's two different kind of concepts, right? We have a big white building right now.
Yeah.
It's got a nice there's a shuffleboard on the side of it, a brand new coat of paint, could do. Or do we take this as an opportunity to showcase the building and use it as a mural, right? And we talked about the rich history of the community. We can, just like the car wash was about to do with the side of their property, do we do that? So I don't know if I can laser point, doubt it. Oh, it's not gonna work on the TV, but like right in the middle left, you'll see the train. There's some oranges. There's definitely a turkey show there's a little history on that.
A turkey show?
Yeah, I kind of geeked out a little bit when I was going down the rabbit hole of the history of the town. But so there's some different concepts there that we can include as a mural, or another idea, Chaparral at the side of the gym. I don't know if you've driven by there, but they just did a really cool
yeah,
facade
they
on the
did.
side of their gym that we can actually, our logo may or may not be rolled out here soon, that we could actually use that as a metal art piece to project out, backlight it, seen from Florida. That'd be a really cool opportunity for that building. And or do you do that on the front? And then on the south side in Latham, do you do the mural on that side as well, just to give that building enhancement? It needs a new AC unit from our facilities director, and there's a little bit of plumbing issues too that could be corrected. But definitely, there was considerations about potentially, reimagining what that looks like. Do we move it to a different park? Is there space at Gibble for something like that? Those were conversations that we had. Ultimately, from just a cost analysis perspective, historical perspective, it makes sense to keep it at Weston Park.
It's probably a lot cheaper not to destroy it
too.
either, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And those courts aren't cheap
Yeah.
to build.
How much does one of those palms cost? A mature palm? Like 30 grand?
So a 30-footer could be upwards of 6 figures.
Whoa.
Couple K to remove it. If you get a 10-footer, it's anywhere between that like 15 to 30 grand mark. So
Yeah,
10 to 20 feet
yeah.
ish. So
It'd probably be nice to do like, some seasonal trees instead of buying one.
Yeah, so it's a little awkward right now because again, there's one mature tree on the right. At some point, the one on the right, there's a mature tree on the left. That one on the right was removed at one point. Who knows what happened? It might have got diseased or something at that point. But again, this kind of gives our generation per se an opportunity to incorporate the new with the history. So it could kind of be a nice blend of both in a way.
Sure. Yeah, something with a lot of shade. And if we do remove that other palm, do we plan to sell it?
We either would sell it or we would look to move it as well.
Okay.
I don't know what the feasibility of actually moving something like that would be. Potentially selling it would be another alternative too, as a mechanism to fund this as well. The history would be kind of cool to keep that in the city too. Maybe it's, does it have a better place? Those conversations haven't been had at this point. But, if that's something that we're entertaining, we'll definitely, have those answers prepared for either when we come back or when we go to council for sure.
Sure. And also, I'm not the biggest fan of the bus stop in the front.
Okay.
You see the bus stop right there on the east side of the mall. It gets a little trashed up and, not the friendliest people there, I guess you can say, that hang out at the bus stop.
Sure.
Being at a park and being close to, where kids play. I like the fenced off top. That's cool. Where it's fenced off, so,
Okay.
they're not gonna be running away.
And something for your consideration too that we don't have any other parks, the top left corner,
Yeah.
they actually designed that in another park and
That's
they brought
cool.
that up in one of our SWAT meetings, and it totally reaches the topography of our surrounding communities. So we were able to kind of tie that into, it may or may not tie some logo aspects into it as well. But definitely mountains, we talk about the topography, seeing the mountains and the San Jacinto Peaks around here. So we wanted to be able to tie that into the park as well and kind of be really thoughtful and intentional in that design.
Yeah, that looks way better than the chain link fence.
Right,
that's for
or
sure.
even,
Yeah.
or even kind of a bigger, like Shepherd Hook or something like that.
Yeah, and the amphitheater, is it gonna be completely closed, or is it gonna be open?
So
like
it's gonna be
front to
open.
back? Okay.
There's two different concepts. One's a closed one, one's an open one. The consideration for leaving it open was for safety concerns. If you create a shell, now you're creating kind of a potential barrier. It's blind spots for PD when they drive around the park, or for security or
That's true.
whoever's, kind of managing that park. So the open concept makes sense. Kind of in the, I guess, top right, that's from Murrieta. So something similar to that. The final design of what that is and what that looks like hasn't been ironed out yet.
Okay.
But at least from a safety perspective, it would be an open, kind of a covered area, open covered area, we'll call
Nice.
it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this concept. It looks good. I like the basketball courts, the pickleball. It'd be cool to get a dog park in there, but doesn't happen.
So
It's
that-
all right.
Selfishly, that,
Yeah.
right? But because our only dog park over is on the west side of town, right?
Yeah,
So
from the
that was one
Talkwoods.
consideration about, kind of moving it one central, especially a small dog park, because that one's kind of a mixed blend between big and small. So, but again, space considerations, it's tough
Sure.
to fit everything into 4 acres. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, perfect segue, because one thing that I failed to mention is actually, so part of the design was actually a meandering walking path. So it's kind of a figure 8 in there that's about a quarter mile, and stationed along that is exercise equipment as well. So that would be something that's extra added for the park. It's kind of a byproduct to also get different types of users in there as well.
Yeah, it's like that one park in Tennessee.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's
It
kind
has
of
like a little gym outside.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's kind
that's
of
cool.
got us thinking about the pickleball courts, right? And then do we do ninja play? That San Jacinto Park has those cornhole boards that are concrete out there that are pretty cool. That's an amenity we don't have any at any of our parks right now. Do we do a handball court? Technically, we don't have any of those in our parks right now either. So those are all kind of tough considerations. Obviously, pickleball is a popular sport, so that's why ultimately we threw it in there. It was actually the second most rated amenity when we went back out to the community as well. That being said, I know we're looking at different stuff of like, hey, I know we've really heard from the community that we need tournament-ready courts, which you need at least a minimum of 6. Do we look at the tennis courts at Gibble or adding a couple courts over there to make it tournament-ready? That's a possibility. So, does another pickleball court here make sense? Who knows? That's kind of TBA, but this would be more family-friendly versus tournament, so it's kind of a different audience too.
All right, yeah, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
So as a being born and raised here, and my dad had his office on Buena Vista, I spent a ton of time there
All right.
back in the late 70s and early 80s. There was a really awesome merry-go-round. I think I have
Cool.
a chipped tooth from it. It would be awesome to. I think there's probably a safety issue now with those, but it would be so cool to have a merry-go-round. That's my own personal thing. I think it's just, first off, really awesome how much involvement you guys got from the community. That I think shows that it's a very well thought out and brings in a lot of elements that the community wants. From personally, keep the trees, keep the trees, keep the trees. Some of those really old pictures of Florida Avenue, they have those. They're really a pain to maintain and everything else, but just anything with that long, that long of growth, you can't replicate that. I like your idea of having some old and some new, and then also providing some definition and some change of colors throughout the season to kind of accent those trees. They're kind of ugly by themselves, but you can add to them. And then also that kind of ties in with some of the themes. You're already incorporating the kind of healthy lifestyle, active park, the workout stuff, places where parents can come with their kids and do a lot of things. I think that's really cool. I like the idea of having one-way streets on both sides. That way you get the parking without giving up the space.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was something that we didn't kind of touch on, but that was definitely something that was echoed through the community. Just an end user standpoint, easier to pull in than parallel park. I hate parallel parking myself, so
Yeah.
yep, all in for that. So it's about a net even when you go bumper to bumper. So just from a community, accessibility standpoint and a user friendly standpoint, totally made sense to go that route.
Yeah, for sure. Also on themes, history of the valley and the topography and the beauty of the valley. I like that idea of including the ridge lines and just Tahquitz Peak, but just being able to kind of just have an opportunity at such a historical site to bring all that stuff in. I'm really excited about it. This is awesome. I don't really have any other comments or things to add to what you guys have put together. It sure seems like it's been a very well resourced or a solicitation to the community, and so trust their judgment on that and input. So thank you for the presentation.
I used to go there a lot as a kid to Weston Park when we didn't have as much transients hanging out there as they do today. So, and I do love to see the public being involved and being able to pick the colors and what they want to do. One thing that the only thing in that map that kind of concerns me is the water park part. You know, I love the idea of water. We're here in 100 degrees, it gets hot, the kids need to cool down. But from a city's perspective, that's a kind of an expensive maintenance when it comes to filtration. You know, there is one, I did a little homework, I forgot what city it was, but somebody put laundry detergent pods into the water, and then they had to drain it out, clean it, and so I just see that being kind of a long-term cost issue with the city by incorporating a water into that park. Shuffleboard building, I'm glad we're keeping that. I know the last couple of months with the city council, there was a lot of representatives from the shuffleboard committee that came here, and as soon as they saw that it was being removed, they made their voice heard, and Mayor Krupa said we're keeping that building. And I think using art for all four walls would be a fantastic idea on that building, because it's just an ugly plain white wall. And it became Weston Park in 1930, so we're less than 4 years away from the 100 years. Yeah. And I think we should maybe do like a time capsule burial on that park too. Super as well. Cool. As a kind of a ceremony, and just because we're getting near that 100-year marker with Weston Park. See anything else? I really don't have. I mean, we can do pickleball nights. That other half basketball court, I think, could be another pickleball court. So because we have shuffleboard now, we got a seniors attraction there, and they also like pickleball. So be able to do all that in one area would be a nice feature for the seniors, because again, we don't have really a senior center here. Sure. So like a senior gathering. But I do thank you for your time. I love the idea. We definitely need to do something. The outdoor theater is an awesome idea. And the fact that it's facing towards Florida, so it's not going to interrupt with the neighbors. If there's music and stuff, it's going to face that direction.
Yeah. Plus
I
the
love
crowd
it. I
doesn't
love
face
the
the
idea.
sun. Yeah.
So, any other questions for staff? Nope.
If I may, I have one question for
Absolutely.
you. So as we're in front of, I guess technically two, but one consideration that we're thinking for the second half basketball court, all of our basketball courts are half courts. The one side would be our first public facing full court, as well as we have that additional half court. We were thinking about maybe even doing an 8.5 foot basketball hoop. Potentially people in wheelchairs, if they want to be able to access the site, that could be something that they can play on, and the kids under 12 don't shoot on a 10-foot hoop. We can't really make it adjustable. There's probably some vandalism. I would definitely dunk on an 8-foot hoop for sure, right? But yeah. So we wanted hardy steel and all that fun stuff. But that would be kind of another element that we would bring in that we don't have it offered at any of our parks right now. So, so just kind of throwing that out there for that. Potentially making one of the playground sites full ADA accessible with wheelchair ramps that go throughout the whole thing. I've seen Marietta put a couple of these in. We definitely don't have that at any of our parks now, so this is kind of our opportunity to take this blank slate, incorporate some of those elements, and really, be intentional with the design. Speaking of being intentional with the design, we have an opportunity to also theme the playground, and we have a lot of different history and roots. One idea would be, hey, do we want to do a train station mirrored off the train depot? Do we want to make it like an orchard? Do we want to, kind of make it off the stock farm and do a fun farm thing? Or do we just want to, all the kids love fire trucks, or we make it a big pirate ship, right? So that'd be something that I would, kind of put it out to you all to see, if there's a kind of a theme that one isn't represented in the park already, but two, that would be, really meaningful to Hemet, that say, hey, this makes a lot of sense to keep this.
I know Mayor Krupta last meeting mentioned something about when the city attorney is working on it for the language, but temporary graffiti wall kind of concept for local artists to come in. And I think that would be a more cost-effective and expensive way of just putting up a kind of a wall behind the outdoor theater where kids can do art and do graffiti walls and change the themes. Christmas will be a Christmas theme kind of theme and things like that. What Mayor Krupa was expanding on. But no, I'm excited.
As far as a theme, one thing maybe for consideration would be an agricultural farming kind of a theme. That's a large history here in the valley. Some tractors and things of that nature.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I like the agriculture theme for sure.
Okay.
Instead of it being random.
Yeah, and in the original design too, in the downtown specific plan, it did pull in kind of those elements too of the big, stock farm gated archways. So that could be kind of something in that consideration, that playground as well. to kind of pay homage to that history
Mhm.
too. So
And
definitely.
I also liked your idea of the Chaparral mural, or whatever Chaparral did,
Yeah.
on that side that faces Florida. I think that's a really cool idea on that,
Yeah,
what
if
is
we
it,
go back
south
to the
wall.
presentation, I can kind of pull it up too, and so that way the audience has a visual too.
And the time capsule, that's
Yeah,
that's
that's a
pretty
great
cool.
idea.
Use
I
that.
love
Yeah,
that.
I
I
like the
circled
time
that
capsule.
twice,
Mhm.
so. Sorry, IT, if we can go back to
Time
the
capsule's
presentation.
cool.
Gus? Marco? Sorry. Thanks, Gus. Let's see if we get to the, yeah, so it's hard to tell, but like the middle right, or the middle left on the screen is kind of what Chaparral did, but do we do our new Hemet logo on it, backlight it? And to kind of talking about the different splash pad options, that's another consideration. So Temecula has two. We definitely have some lessons learned from our neighboring cities, which is great for them to be able to provide that feedback. Without, catastrophes happening, potentially, if there's pouring apparatuses and guns and different things that shoot water, it's upwards of $80,000, a lot of man-hour and man-time. I actually have stats if we want them, in here somewhere. But, and then if we go something simpler, like that's at Bandit Park in Menifee, if you drove by it, you probably don't even know it's there. It's just a circle concrete ring with jets that shoot out of the ground. That's a little more like $30,000 annually, and it takes a couple, one staff member checking it a couple times. We'd probably contract out that service because you need a specialty license, all that good stuff.
What
as
about
well.
like a misting station kind of thing where, even adults on a 100-degree day, and if we have an event out there, they can go over there and cool down in a misting station instead of water shooting from the ground, because again, something people can't mess with. People can't put stuff in that water and let it recycle, and where a misting station, it's not recycled, those water waste in a way, but.
Yeah, we threw that out there in concept one of the second round of voting, and definitely the splash pad for obvious reasons was more popular, but that was something that we were looking at too. They even make bench stations, like just kind of seated areas that just have like a canopy that it's almost like a rain down too, for something to that effect. So
Yeah.
it could be an and or, maybe a not, but that's, another kind of element, added expense, all that fun stuff. But, definitely when we were looking at, the number one thing one was safety concerns, the second was a splash pad. And it's also in the council priority, it specifically calls out a splash pad at Weston Park. Fun fact, the downtown specific plan calls that out for the Civic Center. For whenever that was looking to be developed, so that's kind of was the house of or meant to be the house of the splash pad. So I think that concept is now moving and migrating into Weston Park as a more focal point. There's a lot more kid-friendly, family-friendly activities going to be happening there anyway. Probably makes more sense to have it there, and then instead of like in a plaza setting.
Well, maybe we can have an idea for a backup plan for a splash pad in case, 2 years down the road, something doesn't work
Yep.
out, instead of just turning the water off and there it sits.
Right.
I mean, we can do something else with it as a backup plan, because I just see some issues with children playing in water and it being on the city, because it is a city park, and long-term wise.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the long-term considerations that we took into effect too is what Temecula found at one of their splash pads is their playground is really close to their splash pads, so either residual water spray or wet kids playing on the playground caused some erosion there too. So that's rationale for why we spread those out a little bit further too. But yeah, there's other concepts as well as like doing sculpture art that also kind of serves as a fountain area. There's like splash water tables that could potentially be incorporated as well. That water kind of runs through, pours down, all that fun stuff. Like we have a plastic one in our backyard that our kid loves. So those are kind of different considerations too, in addition to, or maybe that's less jets that shoot up out of the ground, and we have those interactive play toys too as a consideration.
Maybe for the fitness, you can have like a sign that, equivalates how many times around the park. The figure 8, like you mentioned, would be a mile.
Yeah, so it'd be it's
It's
just
4?
about a quarter mile.
Oh,
if you
that's
start
cool.
at the very top, do the figure 8, come back to the top. It's about a quarter mile.
Oh, that's cool then.
Right? Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Any more questions for staff?
So one more question for you. Sorry, I know this is kind of a weird little back and forth.
No, this is great.
So Emory actually had a great idea about using, so the sides of the park are going to be desert landscape. That's going to be potentially one of the funding mechanisms. Metropolitan has a water water-wise rebate grant out there right now to remove turf and do it into water-wise landscaping. So, but from our community development folks, we, could use that as potentially as an opportunity. We could just have one desertscape, or we could potentially use it as like, the front of it would be a traditional California that you see with like cactus, DG, large rocks, river rocks, but it could migrate into something that's a little more Mediterranean style, so it can kind of almost serve as a palette or maybe inspiration that other commercial businesses, Florida businesses could probably draw from as well. I don't know if that's something we want to entertain. If you guys think it's a good idea, we'll pitch it to council as well. But just kind of as an opportunity to, instead of just putting desertscape in the sides, hey, let's kind of use this as a showcase piece in a way.
Yeah, I think that anytime that you can provide the community an illustration of how good that can look,
Okay.
and to kind of help accept that as the new norm, kind of, in terms of what they, what their front yards look like, that's a great idea. There's EMWD has a demonstration garden that shows different types, but yeah, to have that as an educational component, and maybe that might help. That might get some additional partnership from EMWD, MWD, SoCal Water Sport to maybe partner in on that as well.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
And there's a grant for it?
Through
Oh.
Metropolitan right now. So I saw one of the
No-brainer.
businesses was looking at water-wise landscaping. They could qualify for that as too. Depending on which water district you're in, this would fall into our own. Which is $8 a square foot for commercial. EMWD has one that's $9 a square foot for commercial. You have to meet certain requirements, certain amount of plants per square foot, all that fun stuff, and minimums. But just as it would be an additional funding mechanism. We wouldn't be able to use it on the full park because we're putting in concrete that's a permeable surface, but definitely that we're in the areas that we're replacing grass and putting desert-wise landscaping, especially in the front when we're going to be doing the Howard Rose garden as well. Those would be areas that would count for that grant.
Yeah, it's a good idea, Emery.
One thought on that, just we may want to reach out to Metropolitan sooner than later. That's a very popular program, and funding is going very quickly.
Yep.
So you may want to try to get something at least reserved sooner than later. I think that the commercial has just recently dropped. The residential is still up at its original amount, but just that's encourage you to get that application in, or at least have the conversation with Met, and I would be happy to help with that with my other hat.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. With that, we're going to go ahead and open up. Any other questions before we open up public? No. We're going to go ahead and open up public hearing. Are there any members present that would like to comment on this item?
Yes, Chair. We have two. Our first would be Charles Heap, and he has 3 minutes, followed by Genevieve Widman, who also has 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not used to doing this, but I play for Shuffleboard, District 7. We have been playing, I moved here from Redondo Beach 10 years ago, and the shuffleboard has taken over my life. There's hundreds and hundreds of us in this valley that play. This sport has been here forever, and we just want to keep it, okay? That's pretty much all I have to say. A little paint on the outside, maybe the little boards, we're good to go. I want to invite all of you to come play. Come and play. You will enjoy yourself so much.
What are the hours?
We can get it open whenever you want. I have a phone number. She has my phone number. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Genevieve Widman.
Hello. I at least wanted to start with the surveys and stuff, and the fact that the information showed it was only about 25 to 44 was the age range of survey participants and stuff. So just to make sure that it is fully accessible and things like that. So rather than just online, maybe telephone calls and things like that. Also, too, I really whatchamacallit, functional flora. The idea, high desert to chaparral, like I really do like that idea of the water-wise development program and stuff. But if we are going to remove, say, trees and stuff, that we replace them with oak trees and stuff. That is something that has been endemic to California, but was wiped out kind of from disease and things like that. Also, the ninja course makes me think of the skate park, where that's something that is very much all ages and stuff like that. You know, yeah, basketball courts, full court, and then a 8.5 foot, like that's, I don't know, I think those are great ideas. Even to, and you know, the idea of cleaning up the city and stuff like that. It should be done with care and not callousness. Like, the idea of a public shower would be something that I think would be to everyone's benefit. There's already the concept of eyes on the park, so, you know, there wouldn't necessarily be, I'm trying to think how to put it, you know, there's already safety developed into that system because there's quote-unquote eyes on the park. So there's only one accessible amenity in the area, the Valley Restart. They offer showers on Tuesday and Thursday till 10 a.m. in the morning. And so if we always need to have a step forward, and with care in mind, not punishment. And so if we aren't going to have affordable housing just yet, at least public showers would be a step in the direction.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any members, any other public comments?
No, Chair.
No. All right, with that, any e-comments or on Zoom?
No.
Nope. All right, we're gonna go and close that. And just basically received the presentation from Public Works staff regarding Weston Park reimagining incentive, and also provide input, which we did, on the process, project goals, and guiding principles to inform future concept developments. So we will just go ahead and move that on to, I believe, City Council for them to finalize it. Okay, 8A is City Attorney reports.
I do think that laundry soap is a funny thing. I could see you doing that.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report tonight.
Okay. 8B, Community Development Reports. Director Monique.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report.
All right, and how about some future agenda items?
Yes, coming before the Planning Commission will be the 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report. Also, we will be presenting some concepts for the Pro-Housing Designation Program. Costin Square Development Conditional Use Permit will be moving forward in the next upcoming months. We will be reviewing a conditional use permit for Palm Valley Mobile ABC licensing proposal. Valle de los Tres Cerritos, tentative track map 38979 will be coming forward in the next few months. We hope to have a code cycle update for you regarding residential construction, as well as pre-approved ADU plans. And these are the items that we have planned for our future agenda.
All right, thank you very much for that. We got some stuff coming to the table here. Future agenda item, Planning Commissioner reports.
Commissioner Viramontes?
I have nothing to report.
Vice Chair Worth?
I just want to thank staff and the city manager again for the opportunity to participate in the ad hoc committee, and then also for this work session. I think it definitely helps the commission, at least myself, feel like we're doing something that we're supposed to be doing here. So thank you. Also, just a little side personal note, I did miss the last planning commission meeting, but it was because I was meeting my 6th grandchild. So my poor son has 4 daughters under the age of 4 years old. Not poor, he's very blessed, but anyways, so thank you.
Congratulations. Chair Beamsterfer?
I'll just start off with IT, if he can put that picture on there real quick. So this is just something ChatGPT came up with. It's hard to find Dr. Weston online, any pictures, but ChatGPT, I kind of jotted up an idea with ChatGPT, a mural kind of idea that would be on one of the walls that we can use for art. And, you know, nobody knows what Mr. Weston looks like, so, I mean, this is just something, it's his park. We should at least dedicate a wall to him at least. Time changes this weekend, friendly reminder. City Council approved for a second reading the art in public places. Some of them expressed some concerns. Councilmember Males wanted to recommend the 0.25% for commercial and 0.5% for, no, I'm sorry, 0.25% for residential and 0.5% for commercial. I'm not sure if that will be written in the second reading. The ADU state mandate was approved, of course, because it's state mandated. We have a new interim city clerk, Mrs. Homestead, is it? Holstead, okay. The Auto Mall tax sharing agreement with Mr. Ben Sandoval was presented and it was approved. Toyota Hemet is going to be receiving an average of about $7.5 million in their tax sharing program. That's going to include expansion of the service base, solar EV stations, and it's going to take about 2 years to complete, up to 30 new jobs. And Tim Moran Auto Group for Hyundai is the same thing, going to be receiving about $7.5 million of tax sharing program. And that's going to include new showroom, service centers, remodels, solar, and up to 18 months with 35 new jobs. The payback on that is going to be 0.5% instead of a full percent from the Bradley Burns Fund, plus the measure, which is the 1%, so we'll be getting an average about 1.5% for outside residents coming to buy from us. Ramona Bowl was approved for $50,000 every year for the next 5 years from the city to help with just its day-to-day functions. 16 shows are planned for this year for Ramona Bowl. So they are busy. And let's see, Riverside County Planning Commission approved a 36-unit apartment complex containing 4 buildings off of Columbia near Acacia. That's going to be moving on to the supervisors to approve. We have a job fair coming up for Hemet Unified School District on March 17th from 9 a.m. to noon. And I believe that was at Acacia Middle School. The grant program ends March 17th. So anybody is looking to open up a restaurant, it ends on the 17th of this month. Habitat Humanity is doing their 16th annual Diamond Valley Lake Marathon on Saturday, this Saturday. Golden Era on the 28th is doing their fishing tournament. And Councilwoman Valley Van Dever from San Jacinto was Woman of the Year being recognized for Riverside County Supervisor today, actually. And another thing is Stetson Avenue. I'm happy we're getting a new road on Stetson Avenue between Santa Fe and Buena Vista, but it's been dirt for a week, and it's kind of out of, I'm glad they're starting to water it down because it is just extremely bad for the environment, the amount of dust that they've been kicking up, and I hope that project, the construction contract that they have, finishes it because it's been a week now of it being just dirt, and it needs to be fixed. So. With nothing else to report, we're going to adjourn this meeting to March 17, 2026 at 6 p.m.